Hello, my fellow readers. Sidedark Symphony 777 with another fan fiction review. As always, the link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts to the story, and finally, it's my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, story I'm doing a reading of is Hilda and the Petrified Forest by Charadrius? Chedicarus? Who knows? It is a Hilda in fiction? Give me a second. Hilda is an animated television series based on the graphic novel series of the same name by Luke Pearson. A series follows the adventures of the fearless Hilda, an 11-year-old blue-haired girl, along with her mother Joanna and her dear fox. Twig moves to the fictional city of Trollberg after her old residency in the outskirts of the forest is destroyed by a giant. But moving away from the wild forest into a bustling city, Hilda still manages to prevent even the most dangerous of monsters. Oh. Okay. I guess that's one way to do a premise. I never even heard of this show. It was on Netflix, so I guess that makes sense. I don't have Netflix. I don't. I'm too busy doing stuff like playing Fortnite or as Princess Bubblegum or something like that. Yeah, I like Princess Bubblegum. I like her model. It's cute. Okay, so okay. Sorry about that. I'm actually I haven't been sleeping the last couple days, which is why I took so long to actually record this. All right, so let's actually get started. Let's see. Hilda and the Petrified Forest. On a Sparrow Scout fossil hunting assignment, Hilda accidentally transports her friends back in time to the dawn of the age of reptiles. And when they get back home, they have to brave the elements of this lost and dangerous world. So they end up in the Jurassic, Cretaceous, Triassic, Carboniferous era, Paleozoic era. Guess I'll find out. All right, get around, Sparrow Scouts. Time for your next assignment, called the Raven Leader. It was beginning around eventide at Scout Hall, as all the children gathered around their leader, who stood happily by the stage with a series of papers in hand. Hilda, Frida, and David were all very excited, especially Hilda, since it was another opportunity to receive a badge for once. This weekend, Raven Leader began. You'll all be getting into groups of 3 to embark on local fossil digs around town. There's a series of sites within the Trollberg area that you can visit, and each group is to retrieve just one fossil of unique quality. If you can do that, then you'll be able to earn the paleontology badge. Ooh, this is about paleontology. I like paleontology. I actually wanted to be a paleontologist when I was a kid, and I realized it's kind of a dying field. Well, I didn't think I'd be good enough for it. Let's get back into it. As Raven Leader passed around some worksheets, Hilda and her friends all swapped high fives and huddled together. This will be a cinch, David remarked, grinning with delight. All you have to do is bring back a simple fossil, and that's it. Which means maybe I'll finally be able to earn a Sparrow Scout badge, Hilda spoke. What's the best place to look, Frida? According to my notes, Frida replied as she flipped open her enormous binder. The best places to find fossils is the Bjorg! Spork! Ooh, pork! Bjorg, Ford. Oh my god, I'm so used to saying fjord. It's actually like Bjord Ford. I'm getting tongue twister from that. Lakeside. Frowning, she closed the binder, but no doubt all the other Sparrow Scouts are planning to go there. I bet everyone is just gonna bring in a shell or something. Well, we just have to find something that's equally unique. That's all. I mean, if everyone's bringing in a shell, I'll just bring in like a, I don't know, a Utahraptor skull or something like that. Hilda responded, thinking for a moment. She snapped her fingers. Wait, I got it. What have you got? David asked. On one of the routes I take twigs for his walks, I pass by the railroad tracks that lead into the woods. I once overheard my mom talking about a petrified forest deep inside. A what? Petrified forest? David shivered. That sounds spooky. It's not spooky at all, Frida reassured. She flipped to a page in her binder and showed her scar friend some drawings of trees. A petrified forest is simply one that gets buried by dirt before you can rot away. Groundwater runs through the wood, turning it into a mineralized form. David cringed. But that sounds spooky to a tree. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I think like what petrified forests tend to be like very grayscale. Like just imagine you're going to like a forest and they're like all like normal colors, like brownish stuff, and then all of a sudden you get to like a big section where all the trees are just completely gray and barren. That'd be kind of spooky. Not spooky, it'd be off-putting because it's just like you're not expecting that. Here's the thing. I think they're supposed to be grayscale. I'm actually curious. I'm sorry if I'm going off topic, but I'm actually genuinely curious about this. Okay, I couldn't find an actual picture of a petrified forest that wasn't a national park, so I'm going to ignore that. In any case, we should look for fossils there. I bet not a lot of kids know about it, Hilda suggested, to which Frida and David agreed. They plan to set up first thing tomorrow morning. At the library, Hilda strolled past the enormous bookshelves as she usually did. Little did our friends know, she had been secretly practicing magic. Ever since her adventure with the tide mice. Okay. Tide mice. You will eat the detergent, girl. No, I don't want to eat the detergent. No, 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 no. Eat the tide. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. My mind goes places. She desperately wanted to perfect the art and do it justice. No more skipping footnotes, if she could help it. At this point, the most she had been doing was small levitation spells. During this visit, however, she didn't plan on reading up on her magic. Frida wanted her to retrieve a specific book for her, since she was busy with her family that night. Pursuing through the volumes, she found what she was looking for and pulled out a thick, brick-sized compact book. The Treasury in Natural History. Looks about right, Hilda said matter-of-factly. Taking care not to get noticed, she pushed an extremely shelf. I said extremely. She pushed a particular shelf back and strolled down the stairs to the mysterious secret room. Mentally telling herself not to focus on magic, she got comfortable in the red armchair and examined the book. This cover is quite lovely, she spoke to herself, admiring the etchings of animals and plants and the golden embossing of the title. She propped it open and was greeted by an array of images and text about nature. One artwork piqued her curiosity. These were two kinds of grotesque-looking animals, a large, big-headed one, a series of smaller bipedal ones. They seemed to be fighting over a carcass. Can't say I've seen animals like these before, Hilda said, curling her lip. She peered down at the caption below which read, Extinct reptiles of the Triassic period. Alright. What would be those dinosaurs? If we're talking about like small bipedal ones, I don't think it's oviraptors. Maybe Coelophysis, because I know Compsognathus are Cretaceous. Probably Coelophysis. As for the big ones, probably Tarbosaurus, maybe. I know a lot of more obscure dinosaurs because I would say Ceratosaurus, but I believe that is Jurassic, not Triassic. Maybe Allosaurus. If we're going like most mainstream. It can't be a T-Rex because T-Rex is Cretaceous. My guess is probably like a Tarbosaurus or something like that. Sorry if I'm getting off topic. It's just I love dinosaurs. My favorite movie is Jurassic Park, so this one's probably gonna be like I'm gonna be very biased towards this story. Extinct. Well, explains that. Before long, Hilda spent a half hour lingering through the pages and was introduced to all these strange, long gone animals and plants. Such a shame. They're all quite beautiful. I love to see these creatures alive. And then a particular thought sparked in her brain. With a sneaky eye, she craned her head to look at the shelves before her, filled to the brim with spell books of all kinds. Maybe one spell won't hurt, Hilda whispered. Setting the nature book aside and leaving her chair, she skimmed across various titles before setting on Incantations of the Time Dimension, which seemed about right. Taking her usual care, she scanned through the book's contents, hoping to find the right spell. Once she found what she was looking for, Hilda ran upstairs and, checking the coast, moved to the scanner to make a copy of the appropriate pages. But there were eyes watching her. Uh-oh. The scan completed, she hurried downstairs, placed the book back, gathered her belongings, and approached the checkout desk. Stacking books, the ever-mysterious librarian turned around and gave Hilda a suspicious look. Hi, Maven. Just as please, Hilda spoke, smiling innocently. Smirking, the librarian picked up the book and eyed the cover. National history. I never pegged you for a non-fiction reader. Oh, it's not for me. My friend needs this book to help her with her Spirit Scouts assignment. We're going fossil hunting tomorrow, Hilda explained, rubbing her arm. That sounds completely safe and not dangerous at all. Maven scanned the book and handed it back to Hilda. Thanks. See you later, Hilda waved goodbye. Before she could turn around, she felt the librarian's hand on her shoulder. Hilda, make smart decisions. Okay. She spoke, eyes glittering with authority. Yes, ma'am. Hilda nodded her head, giving an awkward smile, and with that she was out the doors of the library. Maven looked after her, crossing her arms with softening her glare. Swear this kid's gonna keep me up at night. The next morning, after a lovely breakfast with her mom, Twig, Alpha, and Tontu. The fuck is a Tontu? I just give up. Hilda was greeted at the front door by Frida and David, all geared up. Good morning, guys, Hilda beamed. Ready to go? David asked. You know it, Hilda replied, reaching to grab her things. Mom, I'm going out now. Okay, sweetie, don't be gone too late now, Joanna called back, waving to the children. Good luck with the fossil hunt. Thank you, the kids exclaimed, before heading off to the side, down the sidewalk. Were you able to find the book? Frida asked, to which Hilda spoke a little and pulled out the volume from her backpack. Oh, excellent. Thank you very much, Frida grinned, and couldn't help but flip through some pages as she walked, so help us identify any fossils we see. Fun fact, I'm going off topic, but it's kind of relevant to this. Did you know that the most completed skeleton of a T-Rex is actually in the Smithsonian and is actually called Sue? There was also in the 90s an old-ass CD that was just specifically about that specific dinosaur, and you had like a bunch of mini games about it. It was actually a lot of fun. I actually had a lot of dinosaur related stuff when I was a kid. That's why I like know stuff like Tarbosaurus and Zeophysis, because I still had up until high school, I still had a dinosaur encyclopedia, and it's these are really cool, and it's all these details and stuff like that. I just really loved it. But I wonder what dinosaurs are going to show up. It's probably going to be the standard. Can't be Velociraptors because those are clearly Cretaceous, and it sounds like we're going to be going to Triassic, possibly. Okay, let's actually get back. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic with this. It's just I'm just genuinely curious about where this story is going, and also again dinosaurs, big bias. Let's see. I figured so, Hilda replied. I didn't realize how bizarre the life of the past is. Maybe we'll find a skull of a big dinosaur or something. That would get us 10 badges. If we found a skull like that, how on earth do you think we'll be able to bring it back with us? David remarked, incredulous. My muscles are delicate. But the children giggled and chattered all the way to the railroad tracks. After checking both ways, they crossed the tracks and headed out into the woods. According to the map I printed out, Petrified Forest should be right over, Frida began, before Hilda interrupted with a, there! Sure enough, past a series of bushes, was a clearing in the woods where the soil turned yellow and rocky. spread out toward a large rock formation. Throughout the area were the enormous fossilized trunks of extinct trees, many of which lay in positions as if they were felled yesterday. Wow, this is incredible. Mum was right, Hilda squealed with delight, sitting around the area admiring all the trees. Wow, I was right. I wish I'd seen this place sooner, Frida added, laying her hand on a mineralized trunk. I thought I knew all the natural places around here. So did I, David said. Turning to Hilda, come to think of it, I wonder how many people know this is here. Besides your mom, of course. Good question. But as far as I'm concerned, no other spare accounts are likely coming by anytime soon. That means we'll have more of a chance of finding something special. Hilda responded, already turning off over small rocks on the ground. I mean, I'm trying to wonder how the hell are you going to find like an actual fossil in it, not only in a petrified forest, but also like on the surface. That's going to be like very, very lucky. Like, considering like how much work goes into like excavating paleontology, because a lot of bones tend to be very, very brittle when they're dug up. Hence why like you have to be very careful when it comes to like digging up not only fossilized bones but also fossilized plants, fossilized insects like mosquito like amber eyes and stuff like that. It's a very delicate process, and a lot of dinosaur skeletons were actually broken simply because proper care wasn't taken, and they were like super fragile, and they couldn't, and like even like slightly tapping it the wrong way just completely would break the fossil. Actually, really, really interesting. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, true that. Let's get searching. Frida pulled out some small pointed hammers and brushes and handed them to her friends, sending in opposite directions to cover more ground. Nearly an hour went by as the kids picked and scratched at the crumbly dirt. Hilda often carelessly moved stones around. Frida delicately chipped away in small localized areas. David just sunk a deer. Yeah, David has to. David's like, I'm just gonna fuck everything. I'm just gonna screw everything up. But at least his heart is in the right place when it comes to like actually digging up dinosaur bones or fossils. No luck. Wiping her dusty brow, Frida disappointedly looked to her friends. You guys find anything? Nope. Frustrated, Frida tossed her hammer to the ground. This place should be littered with fossils. I don't get it. Don't give up, Frida, Hilda calmly cheered on. All the special things in nature are the hardest to find. There's something I learned when I lived in the woods. Frida dejectedly flipped through the natural history book. I guess that's true, she admitted. Still content to gig his holes, they removed a series of stones and was struck by a blue gleam in the dirt. Huh? Brushing away the dirt, he revealed the brilliant iridescent blue of a fossilized beetle embedded in the rock. It sported an indigo spot on its head. David's eyes lit up by fireworks. Frida! Hilda! I found something! What is it? Frida called as the girls rushed over to their friend. David gently held the stone with two hands to protect it. I think it's a bug. Wow, that's a pretty fossil. I didn't know they could have colors like that, Hilda remarked, eyeing the rich blue. Sometimes when animals fossilize under certain conditions, their organic tissues can remain, Frida explained, already flipping through the book for an identification. Probably from the same process that petrified these trees. That's fascinating. Yeah, it's the same. It's similar to how an insect can be completely intact if they're coated in like amber and it comes like hardened and fossilized. It's the same. It's the same idea. I don't know if there's. I'm pretty sure there are blue beetles that existed like long ago, but I'm pretty sure they're like extinct, and the blue coloring might have also come from the fossilization. More specific, like I know most beetles can have like I know like some beetles have like brain scales and stuff like that. Blue, I don't know if any insects recently have blue, like insects that are alive today have blue shells. They're more likely like an extinct species, if I had to guess. That's fascinating, David smiled, already proud of fine. I gotta say, how lucky are we? We're gonna be talking to Sparrow Scouts for sure. Here we go. Frida found the right page. Turn the book towards David's fossil. It's a click beetle, and according to the website I was looking at, this petrified forest is 210 million years old. So the beetle is likely, yeah, click beetle. Hold on. All right, so this is specifically what they're looking at. They like think, yeah. It's this, and it's Holy fucking shit, it's actually still alive? Huh. I could believe wrong. Well, I could believe wrong about that. 210 million year old bug. That's perfect, Hilda smiled, reaching into her backpack to take a peek at her scanned page. Way to go, David. Frida gave her friend a big hug. Oh, thanks, David beamed. You should probably wrap that in cloth to protect it, Frida said, grabbing her backpack. Hilda held out her hands. Wait! Before you do, I want to try something. David and Frida cocked their eyebrows. What do you mean? Frida asked. I learned a spell last night, and I wanted to try it out on the forest, Hilda said sheepishly, which immediately threw David in a panic. What? No, 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 no. Not this again. David clutched his fossil tight. Hilda, what on earth could possibly made you want to try that? Frida asked, annoyed. It's nothing bad, I promised, Hilda explained. I was just so excited about reading about extinct animals that I want to learn how to bring one to life. It's just a beetle, so it won't be too dangerous. Frida did a double take. Wait, you learned a spell that can bring extinct animals back to life? Yep. Hilda smiled. It's really simple. I just wanted to try it out on our fossil. I don't know about this, Hilda, David said. Maybe it likes being extinct. Oh, come on, you guys. Please, Hilda pleaded. I'll be able to turn it back into a fossil when I'm done. I promise. Frida gave Hilda a stale look. Did you make sure to read all the fine print when you learned the spell? Yes, of course, Hilda replied. Every footnote and every asterisk. Taking a deep breath, Frida shrugged her shoulder. And I think we can trust you on this one, Frida. David complained. Don't worry, David. Like Hilda said, it's just a bug. Better she try to bring that back to life than a big dinosaur. True, though. The boy did have to admit that that would be a much more dangerous situation. Signed, he placed the fossil back on the ground. Okay. Do your thing. Shaking her head with delight, Hilda took a stance and urged her friends to get behind her. Positioning her hands towards the fossil beater, she closed her eyes and began reciting her spell. From the depths of time primeval, as if yesterday was medieval, come to life, spare your soul. What was once dead is now whole. Sparks ignited from the fossilized insect, and it looked as if the animal was attempting to escape its rocky tomb. Seeing the wriggling animal, David felt a sense of sympathy. The poor thing is struggling. But out. Wait, no, David, no! Hilda yelled, but it was too late. As soon as David touched the beetle's exoskeleton, everything seemed to go very dark around the children. Damn it, David! Within seconds, everyone felt the sharp pain in their heads and collapsed onto the ground. Soon it was pitch black. Hilda, Frida, and David fell unconscious. When the children came to, it felt as if someone placed an enormous lamp above them. It was egregiously hot and humid. Various sounds emanated from around them, but they were not familiar sounds of the Trollberg forest. Hilda, Frida, and David sat up on the hard, dusty ground, rubbing their heads and eyes. Their spare uniforms were already damp from the sweat. Oh, David groaned. That really hurt. Tell me about it, Frida replied. Having gotten her composure, Hilda looked around at the environment before her. They were surrounded by enormous trees, with great branches radiating from along their trunks. They looked very different from the pine trees they were used back home. Hilda jumped in alarm. David! Frida! I think we're in trouble. I'll say. Where are we? Doesn't look like the Petrified forest, David said, having a look around himself. That's just it. It doesn't look like the Petrified forest, because the forest hasn't petrified yet, Hilda exclaimed. But that means, Frida began, only to clasp her hands to her mouth. I didn't bring the beetle back from 210 million years ago. I sent us back 210 million years ago. Dun dun dun! Hilda revealed, hands flying about in shock. That means we'll land in the late Triassic period, Frida added. At least relieved to see all their belongings and made back with them. No, this is bad. I must interfere with the spell. I'm so sorry, David cried. No, that's okay. Hilda reassured. I'll be able to bring us back. All I need to do is change the beetle back into a fossil, and David, you can just touch it and we'll send us all back again. Oh, okay then. That's all fine and good. Speaking of which, where's the beetle? David asked, unaware of the blue insect crawling on his head. Yeesh. Imagine seeing like a beetle just randomly crawl. Where's the beetle? It's on your head, Frida pointed out, but as soon as she had picked it off, the animal began to fly about in the air. No, quick, grab it! Hilda screamed. 3 children scrambled about, skipping and hopping into the air after the beetle, but it was all in vain. Before long, the spooked animal disappeared into the forest. Oh, shoot! David stamped his foot, tears flowing from his eyes. Now, what are we going to do? We're trapped here millions of years away, and it's all my fault. David, it was an accident. Please don't blame yourself. Hilda ran up to her friend, hugging him gently. We'll just have to go through the wilderness and find that bug. What? Out there? Hilda, with all due respect, this isn't the woodlands outside Troberg. We don't know these parts, Frida informed, crossing her arms. That may be so, but you're forgetting one thing. We're natural-born adventurers. We've been dragged in the same strange, unusual situation before, Hilda noted. And besides, if we have trouble with something, we can just rely on your book. A book? Frida looked in her backpack and saw that her copy of Natural History was still inside. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it is. Maybe we'll be all right, David sniffed. That's right, we're all in this together, Hilda smiled. Before long, the trio went off in the direction the beetle flew. They turned over every fern and rock, hoping to find their missing bug. They made note of the particular flora of the area. There was not a flower or broad-level tree to be seen. Frida noted that all the plants in the area were either cone-bearing trees or spore-bearing trees like ferns, flowering plants that would evolve for another 80 million years, it turned out. Thus, the forest was completely clothed in green and browns. Stepping out of the clearing, the kids were greeted to the sight of an enormous wetland, ringed by great boulders and water-loving plants. Oh dear. Doesn't look like there's any way around it, Hilda observed. Seriously? I'm not going through that, David exclaimed. Shh. David. Not so loud. Frida piped, putting a finger to her mouth. What? What are you talking about? Is something out there? David whimpered, pulling on his shirt collar. Hilda peered into the water and saw a big pair of yellow eyes staring back at her. The dark impression of its body in the water seemed massive. Something's out there, all right. Something big, Hilda said quietly. The enormous form of animal revealed itself by rising out of the water. It was a large amphibious animal, almost like a giant salamander, and was immediately joined by more of its fellows. Some of the rocks in the wetlands, it turned out, were others of its kind. David groaned. What are those things? Frida flipped through her book. Metaposaurus. Metaposaurs. They're amphibious and can grow up to 3 meters long. 3 whole meters? David started backing away. No, thank you from me. No, thank you. Hang on, David, Hilda spoke, grabbing her friend's arm. Maybe there's an easier way to cross. Surveying the area, Hilda noticed a very old and very tall tree that looked like it had been partially cut into by another animal. It was leaning towards the water. Smiling, she ran over to it and began pushing at its trunk. Come on, help me push this tree into the water. We can use it to walk across. Without skipping a beat, the Frida and David joined in and struggled all their might, eventually managing to push the tree into the water with a loud splash. A few of the Metaposaurs swam away frightened, but all eventually settled back down. Woohoo! The kids cheered, giving each other high fives. Come on, let's go! Hilda ushered on, balancing with care. The children walked along the enormous trunk of the tree, over the streaming water and hissing amphibians below them. What ugly things, David commented. They're not going to be able to catch and eat us, are they? I read that the jaws were like steel traps, able to bite anything they wanted, Frida replied, baring her teeth with nervousness. They don't look hungry, though. As long as we stay up there, we'll be fine, Hilda spoke. Besides, they probably can't reach us anyway. Don't say stuff like that. Well, that was good to know. Better us up here than down there with those beasties, David sighed, making sure to keep his balance. Suddenly the log started shaking, momentarily causing everyone to freeze in place and grip the bark. What was that? Hilda yelped. Wasn't me, David quipped. Don't look at me, I didn't do anything. Several meters behind the children was a sprawling gray form of a big reptile, crocodile-like in its visage and body, but with a strange raised snout and coney front teeth. It managed to clamber its front lips along the trunk of the tree and made its way towards the children, opening its mighty jaws. David looked back and screamed, "A monster! Run!" Terrified for their lives, Hilda, Frida, and David bolted across the fallen trees, trying to keep their balance as the lurching reptile clambered after them. Several times it fell into the water, only to launch back into the log for another bite. Snapping snouts filled the air, sending the neighboring Metaposaurus scrambling into the mud. Hilda saw the top of the tree poking into the foliage of the forest, and ushered her friends along. Come on, we're almost there, she called back. With seconds to spare, the trio made a jump for the bush as the attacking reptile made one final bite of its jaws, just missing David's mate by a meter. The kids tumbled down into the dirt, landing safely on the other side. Hilda peeked over the bushes to see the lumbering animals turn back into the water. Everyone was panting, trying to compose themselves. That was so close, Frida managed to say. David was living. Did you see that thing slipping teeth? It almost made a bunch of us. What was that frightening thing? Hilda asked, returning to make sure everyone was okay. After checking to see if the book was damaged, it wasn't. Frida managed to find a double page, spread on the animal, and shared it with her friends. Phytosaurs, Hilda read. Large aquatic reptiles resembling but unrelated to crocodiles. The name means plant reptile. That's clearly a load of rubbish. That I read along, scoffing. Guess that makes me a rutabaga then. I'm pretty sure they're called that because they're everyone kind of assumed they're blended into like grass. Just a thought. Sorry, I was thirsty. Oh yeah, guess that makes me a rutabaga then. Hello, now I'm getting really worried. Frida spoke up, placing the book away. We only been in like trisastic period for 15 minutes, and we're already nearly lost our lives. This is no place for humans. That's for sure, Hilda agreed. We've been in worse scrapes. We just have to become familiar with our surroundings and stick to places where we're in the least danger of being seen. How are you gonna find that out? If you say so. The sooner we find this beetle, the better, Frida replied. By now, it was past noon. Hilda, Frida, and David had entered a much more open landscape, still surrounded by forest, but cut open by a small stream. They settled down under the shade of an enormous fallen log and ate some of their packed lunch, making a conscious decision to save some just in case they were spending the night. The children constantly found themselves fanning their hands in an attempt to dissipate the heat. Of all the places in the past to get stuck into, why couldn't you end up in a nice, balmy world? David grumbled. I prefer an ice age to this, Frida frowned. Why is it so hot out here anyway? Who's on it back home? Shouldn't it be cool where we are? Hilda asked Frida, who was pursuing through her natural history book. Well, during this time in Earth's history, all the continents were joined together and there was only one big ocean, with no ice at the poles, Frida explained. Thus, the climate was very extreme. Hot and dry in the interior and wet and humid at the coast. Apparently, there would be massive monsoons at parts of the year. I wouldn't mind some rains, even nasty rain. Man, it could break up this hot day, David commented, taking one last bite out of a sandwich. Peeking out of the bushes behind David was a little slender reptilian head. It eyed the children and quickly popped back into the bushes. David overheard the rustles and turned his head around. There was nothing there. Huh. Okay then, David whispered to himself. There was a sharp buzzing sound that took everyone's attention. Do you hear that? Frida asked, putting her book away and listening in. Sounds like wings, Hilda beamed, standing up and moving her head to head around to gauge a direction. Sure enough, there was a blue beetle, landing delicately on David's shirt sleeve. David, don't move, Hilda ordered, to which David froze off. Just as Hilda and Frida were tiptoeing to snatch the insect, David was knocked on his belly by a small bipedal animal. Frida yelped as a seemingly fuzzy reptile tried to take a bite of the beetle, which by now had flown away again. Oh no, Hilda exclaimed, at first going after the insect, but then focusing our attention on the intruding animal and her unfortunate friend. Get off me, you nasty thing, David fumed, knocking the reptile off his back as he got to his feet. It turned around and craned its goose-like neck at him, baring its teeth and snapping at him. Go on, get out of here! David picked up a stone and chucked at the animal, laying it right on his face. It yipped and bolted back in the force. Dad, you should not have done that! I predict there's going to be an army of those things coming. Hilda rushed to David, checking his body for scrapes. Are you okay, David? Yeah, no, thanks to that stupid bird thing, David groaned, dusting his arms. Wait a minute. I recognize the animal, Hilda exclaimed. What do you mean? Frida asked. In your book, when I was reading it for the first time. Here, let me see it. Hilda asked. Frida handed her the book and Hilda rapidly scrambled to that infamous page with the curious illustration. She showed it to her friend. It's a dinosaur. It's called Coelophysis. Good work. I'm pretty sure the O is. I'm pretty sure it's misspelled right. Hold on. I just double checked that it is spelled correctly. That's actually nice. That's actually not bad. I completely forget because I'm used to like hearing Compass Nate this that the O is actually in the word and the O is technically silent. Not bad, author. That's actually a really nice touch, getting the spelling right. Hilda remarked, I read about it a little. It's a flesh eater. Oh, for goodness sake. Does anything eat plants around here? Does anything eat plants around? Yes. But not But this is a story, but you're going to deal with the ones that aren't. David yells, stomping his foot. Judging from the illustration, it looks like it was just a little one, Frida noted. Lucky for us too, because it's thought that this animal lived in groups, Hilda added. A low rumbling of rapid foot. Yep. Called it. Called it. A low rumbling of rapid footsteps started echoing from the forest. They were the first to feel it. Did you say groups? He squeaked, wide-eyed. That's right. Social little things. Little things. I guess you need to be where you live in a world that with threats like that guy. Pointed back at the illustration where a whole pack of coelophyses were fighting over a carcass with a much large animal. Prostosuchus. I actually never heard of that dinosaur. I was thinking of Tarbosaurus. Let me see. I would say Tarbosaurus. Yeah, I was thinking of this thing. Oh, it's a Cretaceous. Oh, okay. I knew it was. I just knew it wasn't the T Rex, and I knew it wasn't a Cerosaurus. Might have been an Allosaurus. I think. Well, I'm pretty sure Allosaurus is Allosaurus is Jurassic. I don't know if reading a story about dinosaurs is like it's really getting me in the mood. So, I wonder what this thing Pasto. There it is. I'm actually kind of curious what this thing looks like. Oh, that thing. Wait a minute. Doesn't that thing? Wait a minute. Isn't this the thing that gets killed by the Mosasaurus? Mosasaurus walking. Is this the thing that gets killed by the Mosasaurus? No. What? No, that's not. Never mind. Because there was like an episode where like I think this thing was like not the same. This thing was like drinking from like around a water area, and then a Mosasaurus just came out and ate it. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it is this, but that'd be. But I'm trying to remember. I'm looks weird though. Okay, let's see. Now that I don't want to meet Frida chuckled. Guys, David commenting as the rumbling got louder. Growing to 5 meters in length and sporting a jaw full of curved teeth, this relative of crocodiles was the apex predator of its day. Hilda read on. Yeah, you're right about that, Frida. Guys, David called. David, what is it now? Frida finally replied. We need to go now! David jumped in the air and ushered Hilda and Frida to collect their things and get a move on. No sooner had they made a beeline away from the woods when a pack of coelophyses charged after them. The dinosaurs, snapping and cheeping and angry, rushed after the children. Accompanying them was a smaller juvenile with a black eye. Wait a minute. So not only did you piss off a seal, you pissed off the child. You pissed off the parents. Oh, that's funny. Come on, sorry. I'm picturing like a T-Rex with like a black eye. It's like, how the heck, hey, Rex, how'd you get a black eye? I angered an ankylosaurus. You angered an ankylosaurus. Are you stupid? Yes. I was hungry. Okay. And I found a Suchomimus carcass like a couple yards away. And it died. Anyone have ice? We're dinosaurs! We don't have hands to give you ice! Oh. Sorry. Come on, Hilda exclaimed, huffing and puffing. Don't look back, Frida added. I wish I brought my running shoes. David moaned. The trio kept a good pace from the coelophyses for a little while. Yeah, if it was Compass Natus, they would have gotten killed immediately. And those coelophyses aren't really fast runners. For it was quickly becoming apparent that these animals were built for speed and would overpower them very soon. Thinking fast, Hilda noticed a particularly bushy tree on the edge of a clearing, with branches all along its sides. Quick, how's that tree? Hilda called out, ushering her arms in that direction Wasting no time, Frida and David hurried behind her and they quickly removed it up the tree, using the branches like a jungle gym. They only managed to get a few meters up when the little dinosaurs formed at the base of the tree and practically started clambering over each other to take a bite of the children. Oh no, what if they start climbing up? Frida asked in a panicked tone, holding onto the tree for dear life. Honestly, I don't think they can, Hilda observed, now seeing how clumsy they gripped the trunk, only to slide down on top of the fellows. Coelophysis was definitely not a tree-dwelling animal. I'm pretty sure if it was compassatus, they would be climbing the tree, because I know they're built slightly different, just different enough that they could probably climb a tree. I know like technically I heard like jokes like compassatus were like the cats of dinosaurs because they like they can just do the most random things. I'm getting off topic again, talking about that something I loved years ago. Where was it? Oh yeah, Hilda, David, and Frank. Hilda, Frida, and David scrambled up the tree several more meters before they felt they were safe enough. Try as they might, the dinosaurs continued to struggle after them. Once they realized it was all in vain, the pack of feisty carnivores simply sat on the ground and stared at them. Now they're just watching. It's like, we'll wait. Come on. Do it. No balls. We'll come after you. Well, looks like they're not trying to kill us anymore, Hilda chuckled. They're not leaving either, David noted, frowning. They might be mad for me, that's for sure. They're on CL5 says, I am David. That little thing has a grudge. Say, I'm watching you. You're mine. You won't go to the silo soon, being. I mean, we can't stay in this tree forever, can we? Those bloody things are just going to wait for us to get tired and come down for you to deduce. Shaking your head. Hilda shrugged, maybe not. Even Twig gets bored when he can't catch a wild animal. How desperate can these sea lophosis be? Not desperate, how petty can they be? Or more likely, how pissed they are off. Several hours passed by, and the kids were still stuck in the tree, watching as the pack of hungry dinosaurs observed their every movement like a. Yep, they're not even mad. No, we're just petty. We're just petty. You hurt one of our own. We're just gonna. We know we can take you. Come on, come down. We'll watch you. All right. While Hilda rested her head against the trunk and David ate some more snacks, at one point he chucked some jorts down on the ground and several of the CLF nipped after it, only to return their attention to them. Pretty desperate, I say. David piped in a tired, annoyed town. They should say frown. I think this is like the only grammar error I've seen so far. Dark gray clouds had fallen over the area about an hour ago, turning the hot, dry afternoon into a humid, dark evening. It almost threatened to rain several times, but nothing passed over. They could hear thunder in the distance, however. Why can't you all just leave us alone? Hilda yelled, snapping off a twig and throwing at the dinosaurs. Two coelophyses to dodge the stick and resume their positions. Thank goodness you're stink. Imagine they do the spell at the end. One the coelophysis with the black eye jumps on him and joins them. It's like. And now I got a pet dinosaur that just wants revenge. Bark, sticking her tongue out for good measure. Out of nowhere, one of the older dinosaurs shot up an alarm, sniffing the air, giving a dire-sounding chirp. It darted off towards the inside of the forest, with all the other coelophyses in tow. Juvenile looked back at David and sneered before joining its fellows. Hey, they're leaving, Frida pointed out, putting her book away in her backpack. Hilda huffed. Probably just waiting for us to come back down so they can attack us again. I bet they're crafting up to do it. A low, rushing noise began to permeate the air, causing our three kids to crane their necks in the direction of the sound. It was coming from far away down the clearing. Oh dear. Is it the bigger brothers, David suggested? Frida peered at the ground below and noticed how a small stream had begun to grow in width and change in color, as if getting muddier. She looked up and saw flocks of pterosaurs flying past. Evans panicked. I don't think so, she peeped. Before long, it became very clear. The storms in the distance had sparked an overflow on the river system beyond, sending an enormous flash flood right down the clearing and in the direction. Oh no, what do we do? What do we do? David freaked out, grasping onto a branch. There's only one thing we can do. Climb as high as you can, Hilda exclaimed. She wasted no time ushering her friends higher and higher up the trunk. Within seconds, the force of the waters collided into the tree, shaking everyone in their places. Frida almost slid off, but Hilda and David managed to grab both of her arms and hoist her back so she can regain her grip. The torrent cascaded all around them, bringing along branches, entire trees, shrubs, and even poor animals caught unaware. Ever higher the waters climbed, but the children had made it as high as possible, and they could only hope the waters would recede in time. For several minutes they hung on a flash flood intensified. Some large logs smacked into the trunk of the children's tree, each time jolting them in place and tilting the tree's orientation. I don't like this. We're going to fall in, David cried. No, we won't. Not on my watch, Hilda assured as she scanned the area for nearby trees. Another bump from debris, and the tree leaned more and more towards the water. Frida and David clutched the branches ever tighter. Hilda finally saw something promising. One of the closest trees had a split down its middle where another sapling had grown in its place. Its size and distance was perfect enough to bring everyone to safety and away from the flood. However, it was a few meters out of reach and much too risky to make a jump for it. A thought ticked in Hilda's brain, and she figured it was a die enough situation where she can try anything. Frida, David, trust me on something, will you? Hilda asked, turning to her scared friends. If you have a plan to get us to the mess, if you have a plan to get us out of this mess, be my guest, Frida replied. David nodded along. For once, I'm not complaining. Anything's better than this. Okay, Hilda breathed before taking a deep breath and reaching out her right hand towards a split tree. She had never used a levitation spell on anything larger than a tennis ball, but if she gets much enough of strength and willpower, maybe she can use her magic to pull the tree a little closer in their direction. The floodwaters were getting higher and higher. Thinking hard, Hilda wiggled her fingers. Come on, she whispered. Sparkling light radiated from the tree, and the branches all twisted and jerked gradually in her direction. Hilda bared her teeth and put all her weight on her arm. Come on, be a good tree. Eventually, the tree had turned just close enough to the children that Hilda could practically touch it with her fingers. Yes! Hilda cheered. Guys, jump into the tree! She looked back to see her friends, incredulous. What? David questioned bluntly. How did you... Frida began, but not before another fallen tree struck their trunk. This time, the center started cracking, and Hilda almost lost her focus. Just jump! Hilda pleaded. And a second later, Frida and David scrambled across towards Hilda's side and dived onto the split tree. Once they were both across, Hilda leaped and ended her spell, which flung the tree back into its original place. The children were knocked down its branches, but were otherwise unharmed. Breathing heavily, Hilda looked back to see that the original perch had snapped in two and careened into the rushing waters with a thud. The children were safe and on higher ground. Holy moly. That was amazing, David grinned. We're high and dry. Hilda, was that magic? Frida asked, rushing up to her and giving her a big hug. Sure was. She did give us did some good from once, Hilda giggled, returning to embrace. You just saved our lives. Thank you, Frida breamed. Don't thank me just yet, Hilda reminded. Let's find that beetle. Then we'll celebrate. After another hour, the clouds had parted, revealing the warm red-orange glow of the approaching sunset. The kids, with much better confidence, strolled through the woodland, past ferns and giant horsetails. Hilda, Frida, and David kept a good pace. Eventually, they reached upon another clearing. This time, there was no other force to be seen, just a seemingly endless series of muddy sand dunes going off onto the field of distant mountains. It looked as though much of the debris from the flash flood was deposited here, including several enormous tree trunks. Wow. Take a look at that, Frida observed. Looks to be just like in the right conditions for preserving these trees. Really? Yep. There's more mud and sand to cover these trunks up. They'll eventually be fossilized, Frida explained. That's incredible, David remarked, clasping his hands together. That's just like the petrified forest back home. Only seeing it start. Come on, let's check it out while there's still light out. Maybe we're lucky we'll come across our troublemaker beetle, Hill suggested. The children hobbled down on the muddy sand and wasted no time poking and prodding around the plant remains. They turned over several logs, only to find soggy lizards and insects climbing about in the daze. David was especially tense. With each sight of a six-legged animal, he held his breath hoping it would turn out to be the bug they were looking for. Hilda ran to the corner of one of the giant tree trunks and froze in place. Eyes wide, she caught the side of a bloated carcass of a large reptile. It had a pointed snout with blunt teeth, and its back was covered in a row of hard armor, some of which were protruded from its shoulder and neck as curved spines. I don't think that might be dead. Whoa, Frida, David, come check this out. I found a dead animal, Hilda exclaimed, causing her friends to run up in an excited frenzy. Oh my goodness, great find, Hilda, Frida said, patting her on the back. Ugh. David laughed, squinting his eyes. It smells awful. 3 kids approached the carcass, looking up and down. Got an identification on this one, Frida? Hilda asked, and Frida wasted no time flipping the pages. Got it, she announced. It's an Aetiosaur, a plant-eating reptile that was covered in armor for protection from predators. Wow, that book has everything. I might need to borrow one day to learn the ornithology badge, David commented, crossing an arms. Might even ask mom to purchase me a copy, Hilda agreed, chuckling. She turned back to the dead reptile and felt its tough, pebbly skin with her open palm. Poor thing. Must have been washed out with the storm, Frida noted, frowning. I think that would have been us if we weren't for Hilda, David spoke, shivering at the thought. Unbeknownst to them, a large form was making its way across the muddy dunes, leaving deep footprints behind it. Sharp breaths erupted from the animal's snout as it tracked the scent of a dead Edtorsaur. Putting it on its location, the animal trudged forward with increasing speed. We should really be careful here, Frida warned. Usually when there's something dead on the witness, the scavengers aren't far behind. That's a good point. Let's keep moving, Hilda agreed, moving back to from the carcass to her friends. Hopefully there's not a lot of dinosaur friends, Frida giggled. Yeah, hopefully. David groaned. Though with Hilda and I think we can actually handle this. I think I can actually handle those guys. Maybe. I'm not afraid, Hilda cheered, posing heroically. A deep bellow called behind the Etosauride carcass as the enormous bipedal body of a great reptile revealed itself with a mouth of gleaming sharp teeth. The children scream in surprise and hold together. I think that's Multitude! David whimpered. Is that? Hilda stammered, biting her lip. Postosuchus, Frida replied, the apex predator, sniffing around the rotten body of the Itosaur. The giant crocodile relative salivated, eyeing the children. It clambered over the carcass and hissed out. Nasty sound ringed in the kid's ears. Okay, calm down, Hilda began, holding her hands out. We mean you no harm. You want the dead animal? It's yours! Don't mind us. Yes, eat and be merry. We'll be on our way, Frida added, smiling weakly. What's next? You're gonna stand perfectly still and hope it doesn't see you? Yeah, no, that don't even work for T-Rexes. Barring his teeth, the Postosuchus hopped off the dead body, reared back up, and advanced upon the children. No, no, get away, David yelled as he clung onto Frida. Hilda put herself in front of her friends, shielding them in a last-ditch effort. This is your last warning. Leave us alone, Hilda demanded, stamping her foot. The Postosuchus simply bellowed again and opened his toothy mouth to continue its approach. Breathing deeply, Hilda held out her right hand and started to concentrate. Maybe, just maybe, her magic could be strong enough to fend off even the largest land predator of this day and age. She wiggled her fingers and struggled, but the reptile just came closer and closer, drooling wildly. As it closed in, Hilda shut her eyes and put all her efforts into the spell. The shadow of this Postosuchus enveloped the children. It looked like this was the end. However, within moments, Hilda overheard a whining growl and felt an even greater presence in the area. Opening her eyes, Hilda was greeted to an impressive display, and she wasted no time getting her friends' attention. They looked up to find a giant, a fairly large one with great muscles and a large mustache. Huh? Huh? Did this randomly turn into Mario Odyssey? What? Huh? Okay then. Grabbing the prostitute by its tail and holding it up to its face, he gave a deep, piercing glare at the predatory reptile, which simply whimpered and cowered in its grasp. That's it. Good boy, the giant spoke, after which he placed the animal down and gave it a quick swift on the tail. The Postosuchus bounced off, squealing. Now, get! The giant added for good measure. Looking down at the children, the giant crouched and outstretched his hand, urging the children to climb up with his palm. Still in shock, wait a minute, it's not a dinosaur? What the hell? Well, now, I reckon I've never seen critters like y'all before. I'm Craiglefant. What's your names? The giant introduced, giving a kind smile. I'm Hilda. And this is Frida and David. The children bowed respectively. We're humans. Is that so? Something off about you kids. As if y'all don't really belong in these here parts, Craiglefant commented. Would you believe us if I told you accidentally time traveled from 210 million years in the future? David spoke up, chuckling sheepishly. Well now, Craiglefant began. When you live to be several millennia old, you tend to have seen everything. Yes, this old fellow still got some surprises awaiting him. Children had to laugh at that. Hilda had particularly pleased to know that, even in distant times, the giants were roaming the planet. What mysteries in nature they could have revealed had they not left the Earth due to the troubles with the little peoples. The giant looked beyond and noticed the setting sun. It's getting pretty late. You kids looking for a place to stay? Actually, Frida spoke up. Maybe you could help us. We're trying to track down an animal. It wasn't old toothy boy, was it? I probably scared enough to the supercontinent. Craiglefant chuckled. Hilda smiled. No, we're grateful for all that. We're looking for a blue beetle. I need a performance small enough to get us back on our time. Forward to our time. Blue beetle, eh? I believe I have an idea. There's only one place around here to find them. At an open woodland, the exact place where Hilda, Frida, and David were transported, the blue beetle laid safely on the dirt by a tree stump. Looking around, it burrowed slightly into the soil and began depositing eggs. Giant thudding footsteps shook the trees, signaling the arrival of a giant. Craiglefant set the children down in the woods. All right, now, get them home. Safely. You hear? He said, pointing a finger. We will. Thank you, Craiglefant. The kids waved back, and with ease the giant strode off into the distance. What a nice fellow, Frida smiled. Yeah, those giants are really sweet. Glad you all got to meet one, Hilda added, her attention quickly turning to the sound of buzzing wings. You hear that too? David asked, turning around to the source of the noise. Without skipping a beat, the kids happened upon the beetle, still depositing its eggs. This is it. This is our beetle, Hilda exclaimed, jumping into the air. Wait, are you sure? Frida asked. What if it's just any other beetle? David peered closely at the insect, noticed a particular indigo spot on its head. Yep, that's our bug. All right, everyone, you know the drill. Hilda motioned everyone to stand behind her. Say no more, David and Frida spoke, taking their positions. Once again, Hilda closed her eyes and sang the opposite spell. Moving forward, day into night, arrow time, catching flight. Bring back your essence from then to now, and return to what it was, as if avowed. The beetle, having finished laying his eggs, began to glow as sparks emanated from its body. It opened its wings, ready to fly off, but David made a dramatic leap for it. Oh no, you flipping don't, he yelled and tapped the beetle with a single finger. As expected, everything went dark. My, this is indeed a most impressive specimen, Raven Leader admitted the stony tomb of the iridescent beetle, reading off Frida's notes. Oh my, a petrified forest. I'm meaning to take a trip there myself. It's a really cool place. I am Amon to thank me for telling me about it, Hilda blushed. Spell had worked like a charm, and Hilda, Frida, and David managed to return to the present day. It was already night when the children made it back home to their worried parents, but they reassured them that it was all in the name of the Spirit Scouts. It was finally Sunday, and they all presented their beetle fossil, which was the talk of the meeting. Well done, Pharaoh Scouts. I think you all earned your badges. Especially Frida's group. I bet the local geologists would love to have a word with you all on your fossil discovery. Raven Leader beamed. In the end, their unexpected adventure was a success. Hilda, Frida, and David walked away from Scout Hall deep in discussion. I don't think I've ever done so much as for a Pharaoh Scout badge in my life. Traveling through time, dealing with dangerous extinct reptiles, surviving a flash flood, getting a grudge against you by a little dinosaur. I had to say it. Frida exclaimed passionately, and all in one day, David added, holding a special fossil close. That was a world-class adventure for sure, Hilda agreed, before becoming serious for a minute. I'm sorry for getting in such a dangerous situation, though. What are you talking about? I was the one who touched the sparkly bug, David noted. But it was my magic, Hilda assured, rubbing her arm. I was so desperate to practice my skills that I put us all at risk. If it means anything, Frida said, placing a hand on Hilda's shoulder, I think it's really cool that you're learning magic. You don't have to keep it a secret from us. Yeah, it's not the most unusual thing I've seen you do, David giggled. Hilda had a laugh. Yeah, I guess so. I appreciate it, guys. Oh, I almost forgot. Frida stopped, pulling the natural history book from her backpack. She'll probably bring us back to the library. I can take it back for you, Hilda offered. I'll stop by a library on my way home. Okay, thanks. Frida handed the book to Hilda, who held it carefully. As the children split off with a string of goodbyes, Hilda paused and opened the book. Flipping through the pages, she stopped when she saw a drawing of a group of mammoths in the snow. Maybe that could be a summer adventure, Hilda humbured, as another particular thought sparked in her brain. The end. So that is Hilda and the Petrified Forest. I gotta admit, that was actually a really fun story. I don't really have anything bad to say about it, except for that one single grammar error. Where was it? Yeah, right here. Like this one grammar error, because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to say frown instead of town. I think that's like the only thing I would suggest fixing. But other than that, I have nothing bad to say about the story. I think it's very educational, especially since when it comes to like paleontology, the Triassic period doesn't really get as much attention as the Jurassic or the Cretaceous period. Most people like when you ask anyone about dinosaurs, they're usually just going to refer to like one of those two periods, and the Triassic period is usually like completely glossed over, except for like hardcore paleontologists, like people who are really into the stuff. Uh, I like the setup. I think the characters are fine. There's no character arcs for this, but I don't think it's. But this is like one of those stories that doesn't need it. This is just a little tiny adventure about with three kids and them just doing stuff. I think that's fine. I don't really ignore that. Ignore that. You didn't say anything. I don't. I don't have any like. I give this a 5 out of 5. I think it's a really good story. I don't have anything else to say about it. So this has been Dark Symphony 777 and cut.